5 Network. This is OpenLine.
Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine. Good show tonight, and tonight we want to hear from you. Are you caring for a loved one who is aging? Are you yourself aging? And are you worried about paying for the cost of nursing home care or the cost of care as you or your loved one gets older? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. We want to hear your story. Everybody has a story that kind of sheds light on a situation someone else is going through. So of course, please feel free to call in with your story, and we're happy to have with us Barbara McGinnis, elder law attorney.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. All right, I always ask Tim when he's on here, what have you seen coming through the door recently, past week? What are you seeing?
What are we seeing? Well, we're seeing an awful lot of talk about the new veterans rule changes, right? A lot of people are interested in that. It's been Veterans Day and people are wanting to talk about what's going on with veterans. Well, in October of this year, we got some new rule changes that will impact how veterans or surviving spouses can receive pension benefits. Now, pension benefits are different than compensation benefits. Pension are means tested, always has been a mean tested program, but the test is starting to look different now. And for the first time ever, there is a look back period. So that means if you apply for veterans pension benefits, the VA now will look back, much like the Medicaid program does, will look back at your assets for the last 3 years to see, have you given away considerable assets?
All right. See, I didn't know about this, and I'm not. I don't think that's good news at all. I don't see who that would be good news for.
I don't think the look back period is good news for anybody. I think it's a call to now plan. You can't rely on that safety net for veterans, the pension benefit. So you have to plan ahead for that. What is the good news in the rule changes is now there is a very definitive, bright line asset limitation. So we don't guess if we have enough money anymore, if we're meeting that asset test. It's now $123,000 per applicant, regardless of whether you're the veteran or whether you're the surviving spouse. In the past, there has been this mythical $80,000 limit that gets adjusted for life expectancy. So, and it was based on a reasonable test, based on how old the applicant was, depending on how much money they could have. So now we have this really bright line rule, and that's a good thing. And it's a generous bright line rule, you know, $123,000. Now, it does include assets, money in the bank. It also includes income.
Does it include your house?
It does not. It does not.
Okay, well that's good. Because one of the big questions we get is people are worried. I'm worried the nursing home's going to take my house.
Right.
And I know you and Tim say that's not the proper way to put it.
Right.
But they're worried that okay, they're going to go in there and they're not going to be able to pay for it, and then all of a sudden, you know, they want to be paid, and they're going to come and get the house.
Right.
And it's a big reason that people give their house away to a child or something, or they have money and they give their money to somebody.
Right.
And so it causes all kinds of concern. And now you're saying the VA is going to start this look back as well.
VA is going to look back. Now the estate recovery, taking the house at time of death, like happens with Medicaid or could possibly happen with Medicaid, that's not what VA. There's still not any estate recovery provisions for veterans benefits. Still a good thing. That's still a good thing. But so the Medicaid estate recovery, or the clawback that sometimes people refer to it as, a clawback, again, planning ahead is probably one of your safest mechanisms. If you're planning on dying with an asset, you know, planning ahead on how you're going to transfer that asset at death.
But 3 years out, that gets to be a little difficult.
3 years out for VA, 5 years out for Medicaid.
So that gets to be a little, I feel like it's difficult. Maybe that's why you all, you know, are the experts here, but we're planning out 3 years.
I think people need to, you know, sometimes they underestimate that time frame, or overestimate their sense of wellness, that they don't think they're ever, you know, people don't think they're ever going to be the ones that's going to get sick, you know. It may be 75% of people over the age of 65 actually need long-term care, but it's not going to be me, right? It's never me. So recognizing that there's a possibility that it could be you, and planning ahead to protect yourself and protect your family.
All right, so that's a big thing that's been coming through the door. Veterans, okay, that's interesting. So if you have a veteran that is a aging loved one, you know, give us a call. We want to hear that situation. Yeah. The other thing that people worry about is, how am I going to pay for the cost of a nursing home? Always. The cost is astronomical.
And goes up every year.
I feel like it goes up every time you come on.
Yeah. Every time there's a new statistic, it's up, right?
And so what are we talking about? If somebody has to go into a nursing home, what are we talking about? If
we're full-fledged nursing home care, semi-private rooms, probably $6,500 to $7,000 a month. $6,500 to $7,000 a month.
So that'll eat through your savings really fast.
That's just the room and board part. That's not supplies or medicines or any additional expenses. So yes, it's considerable.
And what do you recommend people do? So let's say there's somebody out there, they're horrified when they hear that number. What do they do?
Well, it really depends on where you are in your planning continuum. If you're still healthy enough, you know, people probably our age should probably be looking at long-term care insurance.
What age?
Our age.
Oh boy. Okay.
So I'd probably say that if you're in your 50s, okay, or maybe even late 40s, you should be thinking about long-term care insurance. Would be a good planning point. Once you get into your 60s, I'm not saying it's impossible to get it, but it may be more expensive, and that's really one of the big arguments against long-term care insurance anyway. People again are afraid they won't use it. They'll die healthy, or just die without the opportunity of using it, and they've spent all this money on premiums and they don't get the benefit. But it is a very good way of protecting your assets and your family. So planning ahead again with long-term care insurance, that's one way. As you get perhaps a little bit older and you start getting a sense of your state of health or wellness, you may be looking at asset protection trusts. So instead of that outright giving it away to a child, titling to a trust that makes the child the ultimate beneficiary might be a way of protecting the house. Again, you've got the 5-year look back that would apply, but that's a pretty low risk sort of transferring the house to a trust. You get the benefit of enjoyment to live there, the responsibilities of maintenance, but then the house stays in the family. And if that's part of your estate planning, that's important to you, well, then it's a win-win.
I think people work hard their whole lives. They want to be able to pass something on to their kids, and they don't want it to be all spent on you know, $7,000 a month in a nursing home. And they want to do the right thing. They want to pay for the nurse. They want to be cared for properly. But they've worked very hard, and they want to try and pass something on.
Yes.
And so that's a big deal. We have several calls here.
Oh, good.
Let's go to Bill. Hello, Bill.
Hey, good morning. Good evening, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Go right ahead.
I had a question to ask. Like I said, I'm 66. I worked hard all my life. Most of my jobs have been under the table. And I pay my taxes and all. We pay them two ways: when we get them and when we pay them. And I'm crippled, and I need some help. What would you suggest?
Okay, we're 66. You're already taking Social Security?
Yes, ma'am, and disability as well. I'm crippled.
Okay. And what would I suggest about
planning for the future, I guess? Taking care of your care?
Do you have Medicare?
Yes, ma'am. I guess I've got a social worker, but it's hard to get a hold of him.
Okay.
I need to find a better place to live because I've got vertigo and I fall down.
Are you living at home?
I've got a little room. That's about it.
Okay. There are some people that are definitely, you know, in sad situations where it sounds like we've got limited health and limited resources to work with. The safety net systems in our community are meager, but they are there. So Social Security disability, transitions to regular Social Security, whichever is the higher paying of the amount. After the age of 65, you get Medicare as your primary insurance. Now, if you're disabled prior to the age of 65, you can still get Medicare, but it takes about 25 months to get the Medicare benefit. So you do have that Medicare baseline insurance. Sometimes you choose a replacement program like a Medicare Advantage plan, which having a social worker as part of his plan kind of sounds like that. Group homes are in the continuum. Group homes, independent living homes, assisted living, and then outright nursing homes. So I don't know exactly where in that continuum he falls, but
so here's somebody who's 66 years old. He's worked hard his whole life, is what he says. Now he has a disability. He really can't work. So let's.
He's retirement age.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's broaden that out a little bit. We don't know if this was Bill's specific situation, but let's say that is your parent. You know, a similar situation. That age, disabled, worked hard, not a huge amount of money.
Yeah. And
now you as a child, you know, what would you advise a child of a parent in that situation?
I always start from a functional standpoint, like what does Bill need in order to have a safe living environment, to have his needs met. So looking at that care continuum of where he is living, is it an appropriate living environment? What do I need to do to move him into an appropriate living environment? And again, that continuum flows from independence all the way to nursing home care, and it's really kind of hard to tell what he would need. But that's where I always start, because it's safety, care, quality of life, dignity. Income then is going to, I mean, income is what income is for him. We're past trying to influence that, really. And other resources are just going to support that care environment. If we're looking at a situation where TennCare or even a Medicare, qualified Medicare beneficiary plan, like a QMB plan, could come in and help support him in that living environment. TennCare does come in as being a secondary insurance and will help in some situations paying for long-term care, custodial care in those group homes or assisted living or in a nursing home. So not real sure what his question was, but that's kind of how the support system works.
Bill, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. I think we can take another call before break, and then Dan, hold on the line. But let's go to John. Hello, John?
Yeah.
Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm in a situation where I've had to retire early. I'll be 64 tomorrow, but I don't have any insurance. I had to take time off from work for a year and a half to take care of my mother and my father. My mother passed away. My father has got dementia. I'm living with him up in Davidson County, and it's that thing. I have no insurance, and I've applied for Medicaid twice, and I haven't heard back from the second time. And because I have disabilities in my feet, missing toes, and now one doctor saying, well, you may lose this left foot. I'm like going, okay. And my father, you know, he's got dementia, and this type thing where somebody's got to be here all the time. I've got 3 brothers scattered all over the country, so I'm kind of here by myself. I'm not feeling sorry for myself, but I'm kind of like going, what else can I do for myself and for him?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So have you applied for Social Security disability?
Pardon?
Have you applied for Social Security disability?
Yes, twice. For me.
Okay.
And I'm already drawing Social Security.
Okay, you're already drawing Social Security, but you're a year.
Yes,
but
at
you're
the age of 63.
But you're a year away from Medicare, so your insurance options.
I have no insurance.
Your insurance options, though, if it is really through the marketplace. I mean, that's the whole point of the Affordable Care plan, to help people that.
What if I can't afford that? I mean, I'm only drawing not, a very small amount.
Right.
For having to take early retirement, take care of him.
And some of those Affordable Care plans, though, they have the tax. The word really escapes me, but like the tax credit that goes back to you. So those plans come down in cost. Yeah.
There's a tax credit. It comes down in cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is tough. So these are 2 tough calls.
So Social Security disability, again, is based off of your work credit. Then you're eligible for Medicare within 2 years, basically, of getting that award. Social Supplemental Security Income, the SSI, creates an eligibility for Medicaid. So if you're SSI eligible, you're Medicaid eligible in the state of Tennessee. But once you're already receiving Social Security, like John is, then you're not really eligible for SSI unless your income is very, very low and you're not going to get the Medicare benefit. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, John, thank you for that call. Thank you both very much, John and Bill. All right, Dan and James, hold on the line. We're going to take a break. If you want to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.
Okay.